Welcome back to the garage. We're going to work on the Omni, maybe a little bit of a follow-up to what we were doing in our last video, which was buffing and polishing the paint. As you can see here, the doors are kind of starting to white back out again. And we're going to do a little bit of a color correction with some wet sanding today. Let me get this camera and we'll show you what we have done. So what we're dealing with, as you can see, the paint's kind of going back to its natural habitat of being white and chalky. This was after the last video. We really didn't do anything to it, but it's starting to chalk up. So I was experimenting the other night on the front fender here, which looked the same way. But we did a little wet sanding. I did find the sandpaper I had. The finest grit I had was a 600. I had some 400 too. The 400 seemed to scratch a little too deeply. So we're doing some wet sanding with the 600 and then going back over it with the compound and the wheel. The only problem I'm having with is down around these edges where I really can't get in very well with the buffer. Tried doing those by hand, but wasn't having any luck. I think I just need to get a smaller buffer wheel. So what we're going to do, we are going to wet sand this section of the door in today's video. I don't really have the time, and it is super hot out here to do the whole thing, the whole car. But we're going to do another little section here just to show you what it entails and what it looks like. So I'm going to put you guys up on the stand. We're going to do a little wet sanding, and then we're going to polish it up. So what we're shooting for here, and I just got some plain water in a bottle, so we'll spray it down a little, and then have the paper and just a scrap, little small scrap block that I had laying around. We're going to wet it down real good, and we don't want to take a lot off. This paint doesn't have a lot of paint left to it. So we're just going to very gently sand this down, and we're going to make sure we keep it nice and wet as we do it. Now some of these areas around, like the door lock and up around the mirror, we're going to need to get those by hand. We're just going to keep the sandpaper clean to keep this little bit of paint that we're taking off, keeping this sandpaper as clean as we can. Now you can see right there, I've already started going through the paint a little bit there. It's probably really thin to begin with, and the sanding just took it that little bit of extra step. We can get, probably gonna have to take this area and get it. Just get this by hand around this lock. So we're gonna do the rest of this door, and we'll just speed it up here. So we'll speed this part up. Maybe put a little music or something behind it if I can find something. And we'll be back once we finish the rest of this panel here. All right, so we got it wet sanded down. You can see much duller, but that's what it's going to look like after you wet sand, but it feels real nice and smooth. I believe to really do this correctly, I'm going to need to take this mirror off. Then there's a couple other things, especially up around this top edge. I went lightly over it, and I could immediately see the paint. There's just nothing left there. So a couple spots along the edge. But, I mean, I think ultimately it's just going to add to the patina of the look. So, I'm not super concerned about that. Just kind of adds to the look, a little wear and tear, but we want to get this chalkiness out of it. So what we're going to do next is we're going to fire up the buffer, and we're going to take some compound and we're going to buff this back out. But mainly just because of how loud the buffer is and how I'm really want to shy away from this being a buffer tutorial. Kind of like I didn't show the buffing in the last video. I'm not going to show it on this one. So we'll cut back around once the buffing is done, and we'll show you what it looks like. All right, so I kind of like, I was only going to do this door, but I went ahead and did down the whole, this side of the car from the belt molding up and a little bit underneath of it that I noticed it was starting to get a little white, and whew, holy crap. I really hope this comes across in the camera of how much better that looks even than the initial buff. So this little light wet sand and then the buff on top of it. Now I did experiment and go back to the foam pad and the Meguiar mirror, what was it? Ultimate Compound, I think it is. And that seemed to work a little better than the wool pad. I just don't think I'm used to that, the foam pad, because you gotta go a lot slower with it, and just the way you use the compound, the way you move. I mean, it's just a whole process. Again, I don't want to get into it because I am not an expert when it comes to buffing. But holy crap! Just to show you for reference, we'll go over here to the other side. And I'm not sure how the light is in my garage. It's got LEDs, but there you go. You can really see there of how white the tops of those doors are compared to the areas like this right there. That whiteness that was just on top. See, like the hood and stuff still looks good. It didn't white, turn white again, but the tops of the doors, the front of the hood did. I wonder what it is about that area of the car. All right, so let's add another area we're going to need to do is the front of the hood. And then you can kind of see where I did a 50-50 on the hood. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but I can see where I did the 50-50 on the hood. I'd actually used the one compound with the foam pad on one side and then the wool pad on the other. So I think I'm going to need to go back over the whole thing with the wool pad. But man, does that look 100% better? Again, I understand. Look at the paint. Look, just come here. Get in real close. Look at this. It's got spots like this all over it. Rub throughs where the paint's super thin. Half of that was there. Half of it I probably did. It looks like probably one I did. The whole back of the trunk. Big old rust spot, paint missing. Holes in the bumper. I mean, this thing's not, I'm not getting excited because, oh my God, the paint looks like it's a show car. No. It just looks like it's not a chalky mess anymore. Doesn't look like it's been sitting out in the sun its whole life. We brought some color back to it. We got it presentable. I love it. I think it looks cool as hell. Especially once we get to things like repainting the black at the bottom here. So we're going to take this whole thing where someone painted it. It's not factory. So where someone painted that black, we're going to sand that down, respray that black, We're going to get the mirrors, of course, the wipers. We're going to get these areas above the window frames. We're going to paint that black because if you didn't know, let me open this up. On a red car, the little pillar between the windows is black too. That's factory black, that pillar there. I didn't know that for years because I have a black car. So the whole car is black. But anyway, that's going to be it for this portion of the video. I don't know how long this is going to be. So what I'm going to do, I filmed some B-roll stuff the other day. We were changing the oil on my daily driver. I wasn't really for sure how that could fit in to a video, but I'm getting used to this YouTube stuff. Hopefully doing better. I mean, I did gaming videos for years and with moderate success. So hopefully the car stuff you like too. I'm going to throw in some B-roll footage of changing the oil on the car. So as always, thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button if you want to see more content, because we are going to be starting in on these floors pretty soon. As you can see, big old holes. So got the welder. Should be getting a tank pretty soon. I just got to go get it. We're going to get some metal and we're going to start sparking in some floor pans. So stay tuned for that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and enjoy this B-roll footage for me changing oil on my daily driver the other day. We'll see you later. Bye-bye. Looks like the chickens came to help. I found on this car, this is the best oil filter wrench to use. It's a little expandy guy because it's up underneath the, like a big cover. It has a hole in it, but this is about all I could get on it. Cup one would probably work too, but I haven't been able to find one that fits this oil filter. Just filming some stuff, maybe do some like B-roll. Still alright, since we got the oil change done, you see we're at 54,079. We need to clear the service interval, so here's the menu button right here. And we're gonna, let me get that back screen in focus, but we're gonna go over to your user settings and we're gonna go up to service interval. You see that? We were a little over, 67 miles over, but that's all right. And then, So we're going to hold OK. And then it's going to say, do you want to reset time and distance? Yes. Now it's back to 6,000 miles, 365 days.